The scientific genius of the 21st century, Li Chengfeng, traveled through the Tang Dynasty and surprisingly became the 6-year-old son of Li Shimin. The heavenly gift god-level bear-child system, where Li Chengfeng grabbed Li Shimin's beard and fiercely attacked Fang Xuanling and Du Ruhui at the beginning, they were helpless about it. Li Chengfeng utilized his genius scientific knowledge to solve natural disasters through the south to north water diversion project, and developed a hybrid rice that can yield 2,000 kilograms per mu. Extinguishing the Turks and subduing Goguryeo, Li Chengfeng was granted the title of Emperor Zhenghua of the Tang Dynasty at the age of 6. It can be said that there is no need to worry about the future without a confidant. Who in the world doesn't know you? Keywords of the novel. Tang Dynasty. Divine Bear Children with no pop-ups, Tang Dynasty. Divine Bear Children. Download the complete set of TXT, Tang Dynasty. Latest chapters for Divine Bear Children. Chapter 1. Starting with a fierce battle against Du Ruhui and Fang Xuanling. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. When Li Chengfeng opened his eyes, he found himself lying on a golden dragon chair. Beside him, several men dressed in ancient costumes with serious expressions were having a conversation. Duke Yi, is this really my child? The man with a majestic expression showed a hint of emotion on his face. He is none other than Emperor Li Shimin of the Tang Dynasty. And next to him, the burly man who was 7 feet long was the Duke of the Tang Dynasty, Qin Qiong and Qin Shubao. Qin Qiong nodded and respectfully said, to report to the emperor, this child is from Yuzhou City, Luojiang Village, and Chengying. His name is Li Chengfeng. Yingying, Li Chengfeng. It was I who betrayed her, it was I who betrayed the two of them. Li Shimin's face moved. Back then, in the Battle of Yuzhou City, Li Shimin and the Turkic army fought fiercely. Later, Li Shimin was seriously injured and sent to Luojiang village for recuperation, but he fell in love with the woman who took care of him, Chengying. Later on, Li Shimin fell in love with Chengying, but he didn't know that Chengying was already pregnant with Li Shimin's child. After Li Shimin defeated the Turks and returned to Beijing, he forgot Chengying in Luojiang village. After 7 years, Li Shimin finally found out that Chengying was pregnant with his own child back then. And this child is the little one lying on the golden dragon chair, Li Chengfeng. Li Chengfeng rubbed his sleepy eyeballs and looked at everything in confusion before his eyes. Where is this? I've become a child's body, lying in bed. Li Chengfeng rubbed his little face. I can't believe what happened before me. Before his death, Li Chengfeng was a scientific researcher organized by the state. Unfortunately, he fell off a cliff during a historical research and archaeological survey of the terrain. When Li Chengfeng woke up, he realized he was lying on a golden chair. Fenger, have you woken up? Fenger, it's the father who apologized to you, Fenger. When Li Shimin saw Li Chengfeng wake up, tears immediately wet his old eyes. He opened his majestic embrace and reached out his hands to embrace Li Chengfeng. However, Li Chengfeng was taken aback. He just woke up and saw a man with a scumbag on his face trying to hug him. Who can handle this exchange? Hey! Sleeping in bed, want to hug me? Get lost. Li Shimin was stunned. Not only that, with such a loud roar from Li Chengfeng, all the civil and military officials in the court were bewildered. Under the court, the two Tang Dynasty prime ministers, Du Ruhui and Fang Xuanling, were even more glaring. Wei Zheng's eyeballs are almost popping out. Is this really the prince of the Tang Dynasty? Is it really true that you speak astonishingly without fixing it? Surprisingly, he said, get lost, directly to the Tang Emperor Li Shimin. Qin Qiong and Wei Qijingde beside Li Shimin were both startled. On the other hand, Li Chengfeng rubbed his eyes and looked innocently at the court. Li Shimin took a deep breath and tried to calm himself down. Then, Li Shimin approached Li Chengfeng with a kind expression on his face and said, Fenger, I don't think you know me yet. But do you know who I am? How could I know who you are? Me. Are you the emperor? Upon hearing this, the majesty of the emperor appeared on Li Shimin's face. He touched his beard and said, "Not bad, I am the Holy One of the Tang Dynasty today, Li Shimin." What? Li Shimin from the Tang Dynasty? Li Chengfeng was surprised. Did he travel by himself? Li Shimin was stunned when he saw Li Chengfeng, and then laughed heartily again, saying, Fenger, do you know what identity you are? Don't you say I'm your son? Li Chengfeng's mind was running rapidly and he blurted it out. Li Shimin's eyes lit up and he said, not bad. You are my child. You are also the 8th prince of the Tang Dynasty, Li Chengfeng. Lying down, Li Chengfeng was completely bewildered. Isn't this filming a TV drama? Didn't you see the camera either? Did I really travel through the Tang Dynasty and become the 8th son of Li Shimin? No, right. Is there really such a coincidence in this world? No, I'm not your son, said Li Chengfeng. No, you are my son, said Li Shimin. It's impossible, I'm definitely not your son. Fenger, you are my son and also the 8th prince of the Tang Dynasty. So, Li Chengfeng and Li Shimin began to debate whether Li Chengfeng was actually Li Shimin's son. Anyway, Li Chengfeng will not easily recognize his father, even if he is Emperor Li Shimin of the Tang Dynasty. Li Shimin nodded in satisfaction when he saw that Li Chengfeng was straightforward and not greedy for wealth and status. If it were someone else, Li Shimin would say he was his own son, and he would probably have knelt down and kowtowed, calling him Father Emperor. But Li Chengfeng insisted on his own opinions, which made Li Shimin appreciate Li Chengfeng's personality. However, at this moment, a strange electronic sound suddenly appeared in Li Chengfeng's mind. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Tang Dynasty God-level Bear Child system. Rewards. Cute value, +1, charm value, +1, intelligence value, +1. Ding! Just now the host said "get lost" to Li Shimin and refused his embrace, rewarding mischievous points with 100 points. Sure enough, the system has arrived. Li Chengfeng knew that he couldn't possibly have the necessary golden finger for traveling. Li Chengfeng opened the system and took a look. The Tang God-level Bear Child system. Host. Li Chengfeng. Naughty value. 100 points. Cute value. 9 points, charm value. 9 points, wisdom value. 10 points. Weapon. Currently unavailable. Martial arts. Currently unavailable. Art. Currently unavailable. Talent. Currently unavailable God-level Bear Child system and mischievous value. Li Chengfeng knew at a glance how to use this system. Ding! The system has released a task. Pull out Li Shimin's 3 beards. Reward mischievous value plus 1,000 points. System publishing tasks. However, this task seems a bit difficult. To pull out Li Shimin's beard, this is really something that ordinary people can do. Li Chengfeng is thinking about how to remove Li Shimin's beard. Li Shimin came to Li Chengfeng's side, tears streaming in his eyes. Li Shimin said, Fenger, I apologize to you for letting you wander outside for 6 years. Fenger, I only hope that you can forgive me now and call me father. How are you? However, Li Chengfeng turned a deaf ear to Li Shimin's words. Li Chengfeng didn't turn his head and looked at Du Ruhui, saying with a smile, this old man looks so ugly. What? You. Ding! Shock from Du Ruhui, mischievous value +8. Ding! Surprise from Qin Qiong, mischievous value +9. Ding! A smile from Li Shimin, mischievous value +10. Everyone was stunned by this unconventional Li Chengfeng. However, due to Li Chengfeng's identity as the 8th prince of the Tang Dynasty, Du Ruhui could only turn red with anger and dared not speak up. Fang Xuanling on the side also covered her mouth and chuckled. But at that moment, Li Chengfeng said again, and the dwarf next to that old man, he's so short. I can be taller than him when I'm 8 years old. What? 8th Prince, you. Ding, shock from Fang Xuanling, mischievous value +9. Ding, surprise from Li Shimin, mischievous value +12. After Li Chengfeng finished speaking, Fang Xuanling's entire old face immediately pulled down. Chapter 2. Pulling Li Shimin's beard. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. But unfortunately, it was the 8th prince of the Tang Dynasty who spoke to him. He was only 6 years old and spoke with childlike innocence. Fang Xuanling had no choice but to admit that he was unlucky. And this time, it was Ruhui's turn to cover her mouth and chuckle lightly. The origin of this Tang Dynasty 8th prince is not simple. Opening his mouth, he fiercely scolded Ruhui and Fang Xuanling. After scolding the two, he still laughed happily. Yes, Li Shimin doted on Li Chengfeng, and the two prime ministers of the Tang Dynasty dared not speak out in anger. However, Li Chengfeng finally knew the method to earn the system's mischievous value. He only needs all kinds of mischief, all kinds of skin, and can harvest mischievous values from the shocked and surprised emotions of others. And that. Upon hearing this, the hearts of civil and military officials were lifted to their throats. Coming again. Who suffered this time? Forget it. I'm too lazy to say it. Ha. It's okay, the 8th prince finally shut up. The civil and military officials saw that Li Chengfeng was not speaking, and their hanging hearts finally sank. Haha, two prime ministers, the 8th prince's childlike innocence, please don't take it to heart. Li Shimin naturally did not condemn Li Chengfeng, but instead spoke up to comfort Ruhui and Fang Xuanling. The two prime ministers exchanged a glance, which also relieved their inner depression. Ruhui thought to himself, the 8th prince said to the emperor to get away, but the emperor doesn't care about anything. What reason does he have to get angry? After thinking about it, Ruhui's heart suddenly felt much better. At this moment, Li Chengfeng is still thinking about how to complete the task of system release and earn those 1000 naughty points. Pull out Li Shimin's 3 mustaches. Although this task is difficult, Li Chengfeng is not without a solution. Didn't Li Shimin feel sorry for himself, the 8th prince? Alright, then use reason and emotion to understand. If that's not enough, immediately turn your back on it. Anyway, Li Chengfeng is bound to pluck Li Shimin's 3 mustaches today. Li Shimin saw Li Chengfeng sitting on the golden one chair in a daze, and once again a hint of guilt appeared on his face. Fenger, starting from today, I will never let you wander outside and let you be bullied. Li Shimin gently wiped Li Chengfeng's dirty face. Li Chengfeng looked up, and a hint of doubt appeared in his 2 starry eyes. Are you really my biological father? Li Shimin was overjoyed and said, Of course, Fenger, I am your father. Your mother's name is Chengyingying, so Fenger, you are my child. Are you really my father? Yeah, Fenger, have you finally accepted me? Li Shimin's heart was instantly moved. He opened his arms and wanted to embrace Li Chengfeng again. However, a sly smile appeared at the corner of Li Chengfeng's mouth. When Li Shimin approached Li Chengfeng, he suddenly grabbed his small hand and pulled off a beard. Oh, Feng, you. At this moment, Li Shimin's entire brain was in a state of confusion. He thought that Chengfeng Li had accepted himself, but unexpectedly, this century egg pulled his beard. Ah! My emperor, calm down, my emperor, calm down. On the court, countless civil and military officials saw this and immediately knelt down together. Even Qin Qiong on the side was frightened and quickly knelt down, pleading with Li Shimin to calm down. After all, everyone knows that pulling the beard of the Tang Emperor is a crime of beheading. Although the other party is the 8th prince, once Li Shimin gets angry, no one can save Li Chengfeng. Rebels, rebels. Li Shimin's hands were trembling with anger. Your Majesty, calm down. He is the 8th prince, you cannot fight him, comforted Fang Xuanling beside him. Li Shimin's outstretched right hand stopped in mid-air, seeming to want to slap it, but couldn't bear it. Can only shout bitterly. Rebel son. On the other hand, Li Chengfeng was secretly enjoying himself. Because inside the system at this moment, there is a constant sound of ding ding. Ding, congratulations to the host for exceeding the task. Unplug one of Li Shimin's beards, reward mischievous points plus 2000. Rebel son, why don't you hurry down from my golden throne? Li Shimin looked angrily at Li Chengfeng. I want my mother. What? I want my mother. After Li Chengfeng finished speaking, Li Shimin was immediately taken aback. Li Chengfeng was yelled at by Li Shimin, so he pretended to have tearful eyes, making people couldn't help but feel heartbroken. I want my mother, father will be cruel, I hate father. Fenger, I. In almost an instant, Li Shimin went from a face full of anger to a look full of guilt. Fenger, it's father's fault. I lost your mother. But Fenger, don't be afraid. Starting from today, I will definitely find Fenger's mother and bring her back to our side. So, Li Shimin turned his head to Qin Xiong and said, Duke of Igua, send an order to General Li Junxian to lead 3,000 Xuanjia troops to Yuzhou City to search for Qing Yingying's whereabouts. Yes, Your Majesty. Qin Xiong accepted the order with her fists clasped, withdrew from the court, and followed Li Shimin's instructions. Feng, are you satisfied with my approach? Yes, I am satisfied. I thank my father. Seeing that Li Chengfeng finally admitted to being his biological father, Li Shimin also burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, good. Starting from today, Li Chengfeng is my dragon son and the 8th prince of the Tang Dynasty. Come on, pass on the order. The 8th prince will return to the capital and the whole country will celebrate for 3 days. Yes, Your Majesty. Li Shimin waved his big sleeve and spoke with a majestic and domineering voice. Man Chaoan and Wu nodded and promised yes. Li Chengfeng also stared blankly at Li Shimin. Is this the legendary Emperor's Majesty? Sure enough, it is majestic and imposing, with a majestic appearance. Li Chengfeng also understood. If you are in the Tang Dynasty and the son of Li Shimin, you must still recognize him as your father. After all, Li Shimin was the biggest player during the reign of Emperor Zhengguan of the Tang Dynasty. As the 8th prince of the Tang Dynasty, Li Chengfeng, with the support of Li Shimin, doesn't he still want to be as mischievous as he wants? Li Shimin finally recognized himself as the father emperor when he saw Li Chengfeng. He smiled happily, even forgetting about Li Chengfeng pulling his beard just now. Li Shimin smiled and said, Fenger, from today on, you will be the 8th prince of the Tang Dynasty. From now on, I will do whatever you want. Good father, thank you to my son. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the return of the 8th prince. Full of civil and military officials, once again bowed to Li Chengfeng. Like a wave of waves, it rushed towards Li Chengfeng's chest. This is the authority of the Tang royal family, right? Sure enough, as the saying goes, money, power, and beauty are the 3 most difficult levels for heroes in the world. And power is even more capable of toppling sentient beings and causing the children of the royal family to fight against each other. But Li Chengfeng felt that a prince who did not want to be the emperor was not a good prince. He glanced at Li Shimin sideways, then at himself, and murmured, forget it, I'm still young now. I'll wait until later to do things like the emperor. Chapter 3. Residing in the Town Prince's Mansion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The 8th prince returned to the Tang Dynasty and the whole country celebrated for 3 days. Both civil and military officials in the Manchu dynasty were overjoyed, and Li Shimin was also greatly pleased with his dragon face. At this moment, Wei Zheng said, Your Majesty, I think that the 8th prince is young and doesn't understand the etiquette of the Tang Dynasty. It's better to let the 8th prince come to the court 3 days later to listen to the court, so that the 8th prince can learn about the etiquette and state affairs of the Tang Dynasty. After Wei Zheng finished speaking, Ruhui quickly spoke up and said, Your Majesty, I believe that the 8th prince is still young and has never attended a private school. How could he possibly understand national affairs? Instead, let the 8th prince come to my Wenshuan pavilion to listen to lectures, and let me educate the 8th prince's knowledge and teach him the 4 books and 5 classics. Well, what the 2 lovers said makes sense. Li Shimin touched his beard and nodded. He looked at Li Chengfeng and said, Fenger, what do you think? Listen to the court, I'm only 6 years old, should I go to court? Li Chengfeng bulged his cheeks in dissatisfaction. Li Shimin explained, Fenger, there is a difference between listening to the court and going to the court. Going to the court is a daily routine for the civil and military officials of the Tang Dynasty. They need to report to me what they have dealt with and show it to me. And according to the court's words, you just need to sit on the sidelines and listen. Oh. That's so simple. I don't need to talk, can I just listen? Yes, Fenger, as the 8th prince of the Tang Dynasty, you can't continue to be so mischievous in the future. So, you must accept the traditional cultural influence of the Tang Dynasty. So, Fenger, would you choose to go to the Wenxian pavilion of Prime Minister Du Ruhui for classes first, or choose to come to the court to listen to the court? Li Chengfeng thought to himself, attending class is like going to school, and listening to the morning is like going to work. Going to school is boring, but is it profitable to work? So Li Chengfeng smiled and said, Father, I came to listen to the court, can I make money? Ha, you clever little devil. Are you afraid of not having money? Li Shimin touched his beard and smiled. According to the laws of the Tang Dynasty, the prince's monthly salary is 50 gold. 1 gold equals 10 silver, 1 silver equals 10 money, and 1 money equals 10 copper coins. So, whether Fenger chooses to attend classes or attend court, this monthly salary of 50 gold is indispensable. I'm not going. I don't want to go for anything that doesn't make any money. Wind. Li Shimin frowned. Li Chengfeng is starting to lose his temper again. This gave him a headache. When the court rejected its intention, wouldn't it not give itself a step down? Li Shimin thought to himself. This son is quite stubborn and should be educated well. So Li Shimin waved his sleeve and shouted, Fenger, in 3 days, you must come to the court to listen to the court. This is the words of your father, you must not disobey them. Li Chengfeng gave Li Shimin a blank glance, completely ignoring him. Li Shimin breathed a great sigh of relief when he saw that Li Chengfeng was no longer making a fuss. Okay, my 8th prince has agreed to come to the court in 3 days to listen to the court. The order continues, and from this moment on, the whole country celebrates for 3 days to welcome the return of the 8th prince of the Tang Dynasty. Retreat. Yes, your majesty. Li Shimin shouted to retreat, but Li Chengfeng tilted his neck to look at Li Shimin. Have I ever said I'm going to listen to the court? Okay, Li Shimin, why don't you execute first and report later? Ha ha ha, Fenger, come on, why don't you give father the emperor a hug? After all the civil and military affairs of the Manchu dynasty were dispersed, Li Shimin dispersed his imperial majesty and turned to look at Li Chengfeng with a spoiled expression on his face. Li Chengfeng is adorable, with fair skin and big eyes, which is simply loved by everyone. Although there is a bit of dirty mud on his face, it will only make Li Shimin feel even more heartbroken. Li Shimin wanted to hug Li Chengfeng, but Li Chengfeng immediately turned around. A bad old man still wants to hold himself, there's no way. Upon seeing this, Li Shimin frowned and chuckled, Fenger, are you still angry with your father? Humph, did you let me come to the court to listen to the court without my consent? Fenger, listen to the court, listen to national affairs. I am here for your future good. I don't care, I have to pay extra. Li Chengfeng muttered his little mouth. Li Shimin smiled and said, you clever little ghost. All right, father will give you the price. From now on, you will receive a monthly salary of 70 gold coins. Is that okay? Ding, congratulations to the host for successfully pitying their father. Reward mischievous value plus 500 points. Okay, thank you to my father. Li Chengfeng smiled happily. The saying goes that a gentleman loves money and takes it wisely. Who in the world doesn't like money? Li Shimin thought to himself that it must be because Li Chengfeng was used to living a difficult life before and was afraid of poverty, that's why he asked to increase his money. However, what Li Shimin didn't know was that Li Chengfeng deliberately wanted to pit his father. Because the more traps there are, the more mischievous values the system rewards. Let's go, Fenger. I'll take you to your prince's mansion right now to take a look. Wu Gonggang, show off. Yes, your majesty. Soon, Li Chengfeng followed Li Shimin to the prince's mansion in Datong town. A magnificent mansion stood before Li Chengfeng's eyes. Li Shimin said, Fenger, do you know why I am giving you the prince's mansion? Because I am the prince of the Tang Dynasty, I will definitely be crowned as a king in the future. Li Chengfeng spoke cleverly, while Li Shimin nodded in satisfaction. Li Shimin thought to himself that although Fenger was mischievous, he was exceptionally clever. If he is well cultivated and corrected for his stubbornness, he may even become the pillar of the Tang Dynasty in the future. Li Shimin said, Fenger, looking back at the past and present, the power of the Prince of Tang dominates the world. It is a royal family under one person in the Tang Dynasty, above 10,000 people. It also has the power to execute first and report later. So Fenger, I have actually planned to appoint you as the Prince of Tang when you reach adulthood. How about that? Li Shimin's treatment of Li Chengfeng can be said to be well-intentioned. He knew he had lost a lot of money to Li Chengfeng, so he wanted to give him some compensation for his future life. The Tang Dynasty town king, with one person below and 10,000 people above, has unparalleled power over the world. Li Shimin established the Zhenwang mansion in order to arrange a strong helper for Crown Prince Li Chengqian. Because Li Shimin knew that when he abdicated, the princes of the Tang Dynasty would definitely engage in a fierce battle with Crown Prince Li Chengqian, engaging in various open and secret struggles for the Tang throne. So, Li Shimin would rather give the Tang Dynasty prince's mansion to Li Chengfeng for inheritance than let other princes of the Tang Dynasty have the power of the prince's mansion. As a newcomer, Li Shimin naturally knew the cruelty of the struggle for the Tang Dynasty throne. Back in the day, he launched the Xuanwu Gate Rebellion and personally killed his own brother, Crown Prince Li Jianqing, which gave him his current status. So the power of an emperor is something that every prince covets. Li Shimin thought to himself that Li Chengfeng was still young and could not be involved in the future battle for the Tang Dynasty throne. It would be better to directly appoint Li Chengfeng as the Prince of Tang, in order to give Li Chengfeng a peace of mind. Do you like it? Fenger. I like it. I thank my father. Li Chengfeng looked at the magnificent and majestic prince's mansion in front of him, and his heart was naturally filled with joy. This town palace, with a front courtyard and a garden at the back, is simply a miniature version of the imperial palace. Li Shimin touched his beard and smiled, okay, Fenger, you can stay with the Prince of Zhen. 3 days later, remember to come to the palace with Duke Wu to listen to the court, you know. Good father, I understand. Chapter 4. The diaphragm responds to Wei Zheng, covered in black lines. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. 3 days later, in the morning. Li Chengfeng is sleeping soundly at the prince's mansion. With a soft bed in a spacious mansion, living in this majestic royal mansion, Li Chengfeng didn't want to wake up all day. The sky had just turned white in the east when a eunuch gently knocked on the door of Li Chengfeng's house. Wu Gonggang said, 8th Prince, you should go listen to the court now. Wheezing. Li Chengfeng flipped over and continued to sleep soundly in the bedroom. The Duke of Wu outside the door was eager. This is the 8th prince's first day attending court, he cannot be late. Because the 8th prince was late, it was also himself who was unlucky. Wu Gonggong was extremely anxious and said, 8th prince, please wake up quickly. You should go listen to the court now. If you are late, the emperor will blame you. I can't afford it. Bang bang bang. Bang 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 bang. The knocking on the door became increasingly urgent. Li Chengfeng furrowed his brows slightly and shouted, stop arguing, keep arguing, and chop off your dog head. Ding, fear from Duke Wu, mischievous value +10. Although Duke Wu was afraid, he seemed determined to make Li Chengfeng wake up to listen to the court. 8th prince, don't let down the emperor's hard work. Today is the day when you first listen to the court, you have to go, you must go. Come in, Duke Wu. Good 8th prince. With Li Chengfeng's permission, Duke Wu quickly stepped into Li Chengfeng's bedroom. Li Chengfeng also realized that today was his first time going to listen to the court. If you don't go by yourself, you will definitely lose face with Li Shimin. But Li Chengfeng had a good habit before his death, which was that he must sleep well and wake up naturally, otherwise he would look at anyone who was in the way for the whole day. So Li Chengfeng said, Duke Wu, turn your back to me and squat down. Ah. 8th prince, are you asking for it? Stop talking nonsense, just do what I say. Okay, 8th prince. Wu Gonggong quickly turned his back to Li Chengfeng and squatted down. Hey there. I saw Li Chengfeng's calves bouncing and jumping from the bed to Duke Wu's back, saying, carry me to listen to the court, I'll sleep on your back for a while. Good 8th prince. Upon hearing this, Duke Wu was instantly overjoyed. As long as Li Chengfeng is willing to listen to the court, it's okay to make his own ox and horse and pull Li Chengfeng forward. At this moment, inside the imperial palace of the Tang Dynasty, above the court, Li Shimin furrowed his brows slightly and looked at the listening stage on the left. Empty and empty this rebellious sun, the sun has already risen 3 times, but he hasn't come to listen to the morning. Li Shimin was so angry in his heart. This 8th prince, isn't it clear that he's not giving himself face? As the prince of the Tang Dynasty, was he late for court on the first day? What kind of tradition is it? Just when Li Shimin was planning to wait for Li Chengfeng, a eunuch, carrying a 6-year-old cute baby on his back, shuttles through the crowd. Is the wind coming? It's good when it comes. Li Shimin breathed a sigh of relief in his heart, at least the 8th prince did not embarrass himself. Seeing that Li Chengfeng was already in place, Li Shimin shouted loudly, go to court. Ladies and gentlemen, start your court journey. Yes, your majesty. Above the court, someone began to present memorials, reciting important folk events to Li Shimin. And Li Chengfeng also sat on the listening stage, listening carefully. The first minister to submit a memorial was Changsun Wuji. He is the leader of the 20.4 meritorious officials in the Lingyan Pavilion of the Tang Dynasty. I saw Changsun Wuji holding a memorial and saying, Your Majesty, I have something to report. Duke Xiao, please speak. Changsun Wuji said, recently, it happened to be the drought year of the Tang Dynasty, during the small summer heat. The grain harvest of the people in Yuzhou city sharply decreased by 80%, and the people suffered unbearably. At the moment when Changsun Wuji was reciting, no one dared to plan for him to speak in the court. However, Li Chengfeng said to Duke Wu, go fetch me a basin of water. Yes, 8th prince. Quickly, Duke Wu drew a basin of water and placed it in a wooden basin in front of Li Chengfeng's table. Li Chengfeng reached out his small hand and dug in his pocket. I don't know what I'm digging for either. On the side, Wei Zheng looked at Li Chengfeng with a puzzled expression on his face. What is this 8th prince doing if he doesn't listen well to the court? As a result, Li Chengfeng took out a toothbrush and toothpaste from his pocket and started brushing his teeth directly on the listening stage. This toothbrush and toothpaste were exchanged by Li Chengfeng from within the system using 20 mischievous points. Within this so-called Tang Dynasty God-level bear-child system, many 21st century items can be exchanged. In addition to toothbrushes and toothpaste, Li Chengfeng also exchanged towels, mirrors and other daily necessities, all of which were stored in the prince's mansion. Shwa 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 shwa. Li Shimin went to court, but Li Chengfeng started brushing his teeth below. Wei Zheng looked at Li Chengfeng with a strange gaze. Cough. Wei Zheng coughed lightly, indicating that Li Chengfeng would calm down. Ka ka ka, ka ka ka. What is the eighth prince doing again? Wei Zheng looked at Li Chengfeng with black lines all over his head. I saw Li Chengfeng scooping up a glass of water and continuing to brush his teeth, with foam all over his mouth. Wei Zheng was instantly shocked and shouted, "Your Majesty, it's not good. The eighth prince has been poisoned." What? Li Shimin was momentarily stunned, and the civil and military officials in the entire court also looked towards the direction where Li Chengfeng was located. Li Shimin was surprised and said, "Foamer, why are you foaming at the mouth? Are you poisoned?" Dr. Xian. "Father, I'm not poisoned. Please continue to court, I'm listening." Li Chengfeng wiped the toothpaste foam off his mouth and said. Li Shimin waved his sleeve and shouted, "No, you are the eighth prince of the Tang Dynasty. If your body is in trouble, how can you go to court with peace of mind as a father? Xian Yui, come and see the eighth prince." "Yes, your Majesty." So, Li Shimin summoned the imperial physician Zhao Guan to examine Li Chengfeng's body. After Zhao Guan checked Li Chengfeng's pulse and body, he told Li Shimin that Li Chengfeng had a magnificent blood and was very healthy. Li Shimin finally calmed down and continued to go to court. When Li Shimin and Changsun Wuji discussed national affairs, Wei Zheng listened attentively. No, a strange sound suddenly appeared on the side. I saw Li Chengfeng holding a large cup in both hands and drinking water. Tons, tons, tons. Wei Zheng's head was covered in black lines. The two of Fang Xuanling and Du Ruhui on the side were also facing each other with 4 eyes, helpless and dared not speak out in anger. However, at this moment, a burst of electronic sounds kept ringing in Li Chengfeng's mind. Ding, helplessness from Wei Zheng, mischievous value +9. Ding, doubts from Fang Xuanling, mischievous value +10. Ding, from Du Ruhui's depression, mischievous value +9. The courtiers in the court were all very depressed because when they went to court, the eighth prince was always on the side, making strange noises. Finally, Wei Zheng couldn't bear it anymore. Wei Zheng turned his head to look at Li Chengfeng and said, "Eighth prince, please don't argue, okay? We are going to court and listening to the emperor's dragon words." "Oh, but I'm thirsty, I want to drink water." Tons, tons, tons. Li Chengfeng continued to drink water, while Wei Zheng still had black lines all over his head. Chapter 5. South to North Water Diversion. Li Shimin's shock. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. You said this eighth prince, just drink water, but he's like a water buffalo, drinking a lot and making a loud noise. At this moment, Li Shimin suddenly frowned and looked at Wei Zheng, saying, "Duke Zheng, what do you think of my suggestion to Duke Zhao just now?" "Ah. This. Your Majesty, I." Wei Zheng suddenly fell silent. Because he had been talking to Li Chengfeng all along just now and had not finished listening to the conversation between Changsun Wuji and Li Shimin. Li Shimin was instantly angry and slapped the dragon chair with his big hand, shouting, "Duke of Zheng, is going to court a children's play. While discussing major affairs with Duke of Zhao, are you wandering on the side? Duke of Zheng. Do you know your guilt?" Li Shimin is angry. Wei Zheng was instantly startled and quickly knelt down, saying, "Your Majesty, forgive me. Yes, it's the eighth prince who has been in my ear, making some strange noises that have prevented me from hearing the emperor's holy words clearly." The wind. Li Shimin frowned and looked at Li Chengfeng. Li Chengfeng, however, widened his eyes and said, Wei Zheng is deceiving people. I have never spoken to him. He has been arguing with me. If you don't believe me, Duke Wu can testify. Yes, Your Majesty. I, the 8th prince of my family, have never spoken to disturb anyone, but it is Duke Zheng who has been talking to the 8th prince all along. As a servant of Li Chengfeng, Duke Wu must have stood by his side. Li Shimin gave Wei Zheng a cold glance. Bullying the king is a crime of beheading. Moreover, Wei Zheng still slandered that it was the 8th prince who disturbed him. Isn't this equivalent to slapping Li Shimin in the face? Li Shimin said, Wei Zheng, today you must give me an explanation. Wei Zheng knelt down on the ground, feeling anxious and fearful, and said, Your Majesty, I understand sin. I understand sin. Humph, the current Prime Minister, but he doesn't listen to national affairs and wanders beyond the sky. Someone, drag Wei Zheng out and beat him up. Yes, Your Majesty. So Wei Zheng was ordered by Li Shimin to drag out and spank his butt. At this moment, Fang Xuanling and Ruhui were sweating profusely. They know that despite Li Chengfeng's young age, he is only 6 years old. But this cute little kid has many clever ideas. The two of them thought to themselves that no one should offend the 8th prince in the future. Otherwise, if it's serious, it won't be as simple as getting beaten up. Maybe even their black hats will fall off. In severe cases, one may even lose their head. Li Shimin certainly knew that Wei Zheng must have been distracted by Li Chengfeng's argument. But the royal authority cannot be lost. If you want to teach Li Chengfeng a lesson, you should teach it yourself, not Wei Zheng. So, Li Shimin smiled and looked at Li Chengfeng, saying, 8th prince, what do you think of the opinion I gave to Duke Zhao just now? Li Shimin thought that Li Chengfeng would never be able to answer. Regardless of whether he listens or not, even if he does, as a 6-year-old child, besides clapping and cheering, what else can he say? However, Li Chengfeng shook his small head and said, No, I don't think so. No way. What? 8th prince, please don't come out and cause trouble, okay? Yes, 8th prince, do you understand what it means to be a national event? If you don't understand, don't participate in any activities, don't provoke the emperor. How dare Li Chengfeng say no in front of Li Shimin? Is this father and son going to start fighting each other again? Fang Xuanling and Ruhui were both begging Li Chengfeng to stop talking. However, Li Chengfeng said, Father, although your method can solve a temporary natural disaster, it cannot be implemented for a long time. It can be said that it can treat the symptoms but not the root cause. Oh. Then I want to hear from Emperor, how can we come up with a cure for the root cause? Li Shimin felt a slight shock in his heart. Seeing Li Chengfeng speak out his shortcomings with a bamboo-like expression on his chest, Li Shimin was not annoyed either. Since Li Chengfeng said that his method is to treat the symptoms, what is the root cause? Li Chengfeng only listened and said, Father. Zhao Guogong said before that this year there will be a severe drought, water shortage among the people, a sharp decline in grain harvest, and people living in poverty. The method given by the father's emperor was to open the national treasury, release the granary, and provide relief to the people to survive the year of drought. Yes, Emperor. Do you think this method is inappropriate? Li Shimin touched his beard and looked at Li Chengfeng with great interest. Over the years, when droughts, floods, locusts, and people's food shortages occurred, they all relied on the opening of the national treasury to release grain to solve the problem. Is there a better way for Feng heir? Li Chengfeng cleared his throat and continued, Father, I believe that it is not inappropriate to open the national treasury to relieve the people during natural disasters. However, sooner or later, this will deplete the granary inventory of the national treasury. Yes, but if we don't open our granaries and provide relief to the people of the world, how can I bear it? So here comes the problem. Li Chengfeng smiled and said, Father, within the territory of our Tang Dynasty, there is abundant water in the south and year-round drought in the north. Every hot summer, there will be drought in the north, and every rainy season, there will be floods in the south. Why not? Speaking of this, Li Shimin's eyes suddenly widened. Is it true that Feng has another way? Li Chengfeng continued to speak and said, why not? My father is building a huge reservoir in the southern region to store water. During the rainy season, the reservoir stores water, so that the people of the southern region will not be affected by floods. My father is building a large canal that is transparent from north to south. During droughts, the gates are opened to release water, and the water in the southern reservoir is transported to the north. In this way, won't we have the best of both worlds? Bang, bang, bang. After listening to Li Chengfeng's words, Li Shimin's mind exploded and suddenly became clear. Both civil and military officials in the court were surprised and looked at Li Chengfeng with incredulous eyes. This idea may seem simple, but no one in the history of emperors and ministers has come up with such an idea. Now, speaking from a 6-year-old cute child, can this not surprise Li Shimin and others? And this idea is really too advanced. Li Shimin never dared to imagine that Li Chengfeng, with his words, would dare to use manpower to resist the will of heaven. Is this the legendary saying that man triumphs over heaven? And this idea is both good and feasible. As long as the reservoir and Grand Canal are completed, won't the difficulties that plagued the people's natural disasters for countless years, which have plagued emperors throughout history, be easily solved? Father, what do you think of my son's thoughts? Ha ha ha, good, Feng, you have really helped the country a lot. Li Shimin burst out laughing excitedly, his hands trembling. Li Chengfeng mischievously rubbed his nose. Of course, the advanced idea of south to north water diversion in the 21st century, put in the Tang Dynasty, anyone who can come up with it is a genius among geniuses. After Li Shimin became happy, he pursed his lips again. It has to be said that Li Chengfeng has really helped the country a lot this time. And Li Shimin also acknowledged that Li Chengfeng was truly a genius in national luck. If Li Chengfeng were to govern the country, the future of the Tang Dynasty would surely be even more prosperous. Chapter 6. Rewards, 11,000 gold. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wow, it's really amazing. Li Chengfeng's words were astonishing. With his move of diverting water from the south to the north, he not only successfully solved the natural disasters of the Tang Dynasty, but also prevented the natural disasters from happening in the following year. Are you still afraid that the Tang Dynasty will not prosper in the future with this strategy? At this moment, not only Li Shimin was shocked by Li Chengfeng's words, but also the civil and military officials of the Manchu dynasty were impressed by him. Feng, how long do you think it will take to complete the budget for the south to north water diversion project? Li Shimin continued to ask tentatively. He wants to know whether Li Chengfeng accidentally came up with this idea, or whether he actually knew about such a brilliant plan for the south to north water diversion project long ago. Li Chengfeng said, to report to my father, if we use all the strength of the people of the Tang Dynasty, we should be able to dig a super grand canal in less than 3 years. During this period, my father can directly use the gold in the national treasury to collect labor from the people. In this way, if the people have work to do and money to earn, they can avoid the loss of grain due to drought. If the people earn money, they can import grain for foreign trade, so naturally they will not starve to death. Maybe they can live better. What? Fenger, what is foreign trade? What is import? Li Chengfeng's words directly confused Li Shimin and the civil and military officials of the Manchu dynasty. Foreign trade and imports. What does that mean? He seems to be speaking quite fluently, but what exactly does he mean? Li Chengfeng also realized that his professional terminology did not conform to the current tone and wording of the Tang dynasty. So he coughed and explained, Father, foreign trade and imports are the ways in which our Tang dynasty used our money to purchase foreign goods, thereby reducing our labor force and obtaining corresponding goods. Relatively speaking, as long as we spend some money that is not light or heavy, we can obtain the goods that everyone needs. This is foreign trade and imports. Speaking of this, Li Shimin was completely bewildered. Li Chengfeng spoke fluently, using various awkward tones and words in his mouth. At this moment, Li Shimin's mind is filled with only two words. Genius. Fang, can't it be? Did you do this kind of thing before? Asked Li Shimin. No. What I used to do was to study history, archaeology, and scientific research. Li Chengfeng replied. A researcher in historical archaeology. It's also quite good. Li Shimin touched his beard and nodded, pretending to understand the job that Li Chengfeng was talking about. After all, he is the emperor. If he keeps asking his 6-year-old child questions and doesn't understand anything, how can the royal face be preserved? Moreover, all the civil and military officials of the Manchu dynasty were listening in the court, so no matter what, Li Shimin must maintain his imperial demeanor. But Li Chengfeng secretly laughed. Li Shimin really knows how to pretend that he knows what scientific research work in the 21st world is. Shameless. Excuse me, father. Do you really know what my previous job was? After Li Chengfeng finished speaking, Li Shimin's eyes widened instantly. It seemed like he was saying, Feng please don't ask, I don't know. Fang Xuanling, who was under the court, saw that something was not going well, so he quickly opened the conversation and said, Your Majesty, I think the 8th prince is extremely intelligent and must be the future pillar of the Tang Dynasty. Your Majesty, the 8th prince has come up with a major project like the South to North Water Diversion, to fight against natural disasters with manpower. So what do you want to reward the 8th prince? Duke Liang is right. At the age of 6, Feng was able to come up with such a brilliant plan. If he gets a reward, he deserves it. So I have decided to give 1,000 coins to the crown prince and 1,000 coins to his scheme. In total, I will reward my crown prince 11,000 coins. Crown prince, what do you think? Thank you, my lord. Li Chengfeng also covered his mouth and chuckled lightly. Can you earn 11,000 gold by devising a random strategy? All this money can be directly used to buy a shopping street in Chang'an City. Since Li Shimin has rewarded himself with so much money, Li Chengfeng has no intention of demolishing Li Shimin's platform. On the other hand, Li Shimin's frown, which had been frowning all along, has now stretched out and the dragon's face is delighted. Li Shimin said, Fang Xuanling and Du Ruhui, I will entrust the South to North Water Diversion project to your 2 prime ministers to solve. You must complete this important task well. Yes, Your Majesty. I will definitely not disappoint Your Majesty's hard work. Fang Xuanling and Du Ruhui clasped their fists and bowed. Li Shimin was able to assign the 2 most outstanding prime ministers of the Tang Dynasty to take charge of this South to North Water Diversion project, which shows how much Li Shimin cares about this matter. As Li Chengfeng mentioned before, the South to North Water Diversion project requires a significant amount of manpower and material resources in the early stages. But once completed, the entire Tang Dynasty will surely be like a sleeping dragon rising in the wind and soaring into the sky. As long as people's livelihood issues are solved, are you still afraid that the Tang Dynasty will not prosper in the future? After retreating from the court, Li Chengfeng's move on the South to North Water Diversion project instantly spread within the Tang Dynasty palace. The high-ranking official of the Tang Dynasty exclaimed, Oh no, the Tang Dynasty has produced a genius prince. With just one trick, he can solve countless worries and headaches that have troubled emperors throughout history. Yeah, I was already in court at that time. When I heard about the South to North Water Diversion project, I was instantly impressed by the 8th prince. The person who can come up with this plan must be a talented person from heaven. I used to think that the 8th prince was just a mischievous child. However, it turns out that the 8th prince's intelligence is far superior to that of ordinary people. It's my clumsiness, and I feel inferior to him. As a result, Li Chengfeng naturally became a rare genius in the eyes of high-ranking officials in the Tang Dynasty. They believe that after this incident, Li Shimin will definitely value Li Chengfeng. If it weren't for the fact that the position of the crown prince of the Tang Dynasty had long been passed down to Li Chengqian, the eldest son of Li Shimin, I'm afraid that the crown prince's position, relying on Li Chengfeng's intelligence, would have had absolute inheritance rights. And Li Shimin's early appointment of Li Chengqian as the crown prince of the Tang Dynasty was also to prevent history from repeating itself. He didn't want to see his sons fighting against each other for the throne of the Tang Dynasty. After retreating from the court, Li Chengfeng returned to the residence of the Prince of Zhen. In addition to Li Chengfeng and his close eunuch Wu Gonggang, there are also two 13-year-old maids named Xiaolan and Asai in the vast prince's mansion. These two maids, apart from taking care of Li Chengfeng's daily life and living, have nothing else to do but clean the town prince's mansion. I usually sweep the floor and cut flowers and plants when I have nothing to do, and life is also incredibly comfortable. Wu Gonggang, go and get me some ice cubes. It's so hot. Yes, 8th prince, I'm going to the palace to find ice cubes for him. However, before Duke Wu could leave, he heard in his ear, the emperor has arrived. The emperor is here. Wu Gonggang was startled and quickly knelt down on both knees, saying, I respectfully welcome the emperor. Chapter 7. What is the first spirit king of the Tang Dynasty? You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the entrance of the prince's mansion, Li Shimin strode with great strides, his face filled with joy. I have seen my father. Li Chengfeng also bowed slightly and bowed to Li Shimin. After all, this is the royal etiquette of the Tang Dynasty, and Li Chengfeng had to bow down. However, Li Chengfeng thought to himself. Didn't he just retreat from the court? Why did this terrible old man come to me again? Ha ha ha, Feng Er stands up quickly. Feng Er is exceptionally clever and can be said to be the most talented young man in the world today. Li Shimin quickly stepped forward and helped Li Chengfeng up, with a spoiled expression on his face. Father, just now you spoke in front of all the civil and military officials in the court, saying you want to give me 11,000 gold. Is father here to give me money? Feng Er, where can Father Emperor hold $1,000 alone? Don't worry, Feng Er. Your proposed south to north water diversion plan is not an exaggeration to call it the top plan for people's livelihood in the world. So Father Emperor will definitely not owe you money. But Father Emperor is very curious, what would you use that money for? Li Shimin had a questioning expression on his face. Li Chengfeng smiled and said, isn't this simple? Of course, it's about using money to make money. Keeping money will only depreciate, so I plan to buy a street under Chang'an City to do business. Doing business. Ha ha ha, Feng Er's mind can be said to be quite flexible and extremely intelligent. Li Shimin nodded in satisfaction and continued, the livelihood issues that have troubled emperors throughout history for countless years have been a headache for emperors. However, Feng Er can solve people's livelihood problems such as droughts and floods with just one word. It seems that I underestimated Feng Er. So, father, are you coming to me? It's not just to compliment me in person, is it? Ha, Feng Er is indeed smart. Li Shimin looked at Li Chengfeng's blushing little face, and the more he looked at it, the more he liked it. Li Shimin's face was full of kindness and he said, Feng Er, if I have any questions I don't understand, I just want to ask them thoroughly. I want to know, Feng Er, what profession is that archaeological research scholar you mentioned before? Oh, that thing, if it sounds good, it's called archaeology, if it doesn't sound good, it's called tomb raiding. What? Tomb robbing. Feng Er, you. Li Shimin's chin suddenly dropped in shock. A 6-year-old child, the 8th prince of the Tang Dynasty, surprisingly had a previous job as a tomb robber. Li Shimin instantly felt heartbroken. Then, with a troubled expression on his face, he sighed and said, Feng, I apologize to you for letting you do such a thing while away for 6 years. It's okay, father. Father, I want to ask, didn't you see my mother Qingying when you brought me out of Luojiang village? Sigh. Li Shimin let out a long sigh again, shook his head, and said, no. If it weren't for a letter from Lu Chonggui, a villager of Luojiang village, stating that I still have a left-behind son in Luojiang village, I'm afraid I wouldn't even know that there is still wind in this world. Every time Li Shimin thinks of this, he feels extremely heartbroken. This is Li Shimin's fault, which led to his own son wandering outside for 6 years, and his woman disappearing and missing. Moreover, Luojiang village is located on the border of Yuzhou city in the Tang Dynasty, adjacent to the Turks to the north, which is even more dangerous. At this moment, Li Shimin was very worried that Qingying, the mother of Li Chengfeng, might have been captured by the Turkic bandits. Li Shimin said, Feng, don't worry too much now. I have already instructed General Qin Qiong of Ruhui to lead 3,000 Xuanjia soldiers to Yuzhou city to search for your mother's whereabouts. She will definitely be fine and will definitely return to your side. Li Chengfeng nodded lightly, but didn't say much. At this moment, his memories during his lifetime have completely overlapped with this delicate body. In Li Chengfeng's mind, another gentle and generous woman appeared. And that woman is Li Chengfeng's current mother, Qingying. The next morning, Li Chengfeng still went to the imperial court to listen to the court, just like yesterday. As soon as Li Chengfeng entered the grand hall, the civil and military officials immediately cast admiring gazes. This is the 8th prince of the Tang Dynasty, the future Tang Dynasty Zhenghua God King Li Chengfeng. Hello, 8th prince. Did you come to listen to the court so early today? The 24 heroes of the founding of Lingyan Pavilion, Duke of Chen, Ho Junji, came forward to greet Li Chengfeng. Li Chengfeng yawned helplessly and said, no, no. I can give you face, but I can't give my dad face, right? This. 8th prince, you really know how to joke. Ho Junji's expression stiffened instantly, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but twitch. The 8th prince's words are indeed astonishing. So what he means is that he doesn't even pay attention to the civil and military officials in the entire court, only Li Shimin can suppress him. However, Li Chengfeng covered his mouth and chuckled. Because just now, a familiar electronic sound rang out in his system. Ding, surprise from Ho Junji, mischievous value +10. At this moment, Wei Zheng groped his buttocks and stumbled past Li Chengfeng. After seeing it, Li Chengfeng's eyes lit up instantly and he said, Duke Zheng, is your buttocks still hurting? They all said you should listen to my father's speech well. When you lose focus, suffering will be your buttocks. Wei Zheng's old face turned black in an instant. This 8th prince, which pot is not opened and which pot is not picked up? His buttocks were hit by 30 big plates yesterday. Isn't it because you were making a fuss on the side? The result is good, you can't help but not understand me, but still come to mock me. Humph, the 8th prince, the old minister's body is very tough, so there's no need for the 8th prince to worry. Wei Zheng was covered in black lines. Because yesterday, the South to North Water Diversion project proposed by Li Chengfeng has already been introduced to Wei Zheng's ears. Upon hearing this, Wei Zheng exclaimed in disbelief. Perhaps only geniuses among geniuses can come up with such ideas, right? This can also prove that the 8th prince is very likely to be the rare genius in the Tang Dynasty. Just being a genius can easily lead to jealousy and compromise halfway through. Wei Zheng continued, 8th prince, the saying goes, talent is not revealed, and intelligence is no exception. Does my prince need you to educate him? Of course not, the 8th prince is naturally educated by the emperor, but when I say this, it's actually for the sake of the 8th prince's good. What Wei Zheng said sounded grand, but in fact, he didn't want to provoke Li Chengfeng. But Li Chengfeng smiled lightly. Okay, Wei Zheng, your butt doesn't hurt anymore, right? So today, the prince will continue to come and spank you. In history, Wei Zheng was a famous prime minister who often fought against Li Shimin in court. He relied on himself as a loyal prime minister left by the previous dynasty, backed by Li Yuan, and sometimes even made Li Shimin unable to come down from power. I don't want to, but this time I lifted the bar on Li Chengfeng's head. Wei Zheng was overjoyed. He slapped the 8th prince like this, and his heart naturally felt much better. However, next, Li Chengfeng will let Wei Zheng know what the first elite king of the Tang Dynasty is. Chapter 8. Naming Notebook, Li Chengfeng's Death Note. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Li Chengfeng walked up to the listening stage and sat down. Then he opened the system and embarked on his shopping journey. At this moment, there are already 8,580 mischievous points in Li Chengfeng's God-level bear child system. Because Li Chengfeng usually doesn't know what to buy, he has accumulated all his mischievous values in the system. After meeting Wei Zheng, Li Chengfeng finally knew what he was going to do. Li Chengfeng purchased a copy of Tang Dynasty biography from within the system. It records the life stories of famous figures in the entire Tang Dynasty during the year of Zhengguan. Among them, there are not only biographies of the 24 heroes of Lingyan Pavilion, but also those of Li Shimin, Empress Changsun, and Li Yuan. The details inside record the good and bad things they have done throughout their lives. After Li Chengfeng took his seat and listened to the court, Li Shimin nodded in satisfaction. Today's 8th prince was not late, and his overall spirit looked very good, which made Li Shimin very satisfied in his heart. Ladies and gentlemen, do you have anything important to report to me today? After Li Shimin finished speaking, there was a complete silence below the court. Li Shimin's eyebrows relaxed and a faint smile appeared on his face. Without a memorial, it can prove that the country is peaceful and the people are safe, and no major events have occurred. This is a good thing. Alright, dear gentlemen, if you have anything to do, please report it to me. If you have nothing to do, please leave the court. Li Shimin waved his hand and was about to withdraw from the court. However, at this moment, Li Chengfeng suddenly waved his small hand on the listening stage and said, I have something to report to my father and emperor. Oh. Feng, what do you have to say? Li Shimin immediately looked at Li Chengfeng with great interest. If it were in the past, Li Shimin definitely believed that Li Chengfeng was here to cause trouble. But after Li Chengfeng's performance during his listening to the court yesterday, Li Shimin felt that Li Chengfeng should also have the power to report on major civil affairs. So Li Shimin waved his hand and said, Feng heir, you say, Father Emperor naturally listens carefully and won't miss any details. Okay, that's all I have to say. This time, I'm going to play Duke of Zheng, Wei Zheng. Ah. Wei Zheng shuddered instantly. Why is this 8th prince playing his own book again? Is it because I just scolded the 8th prince? However, Wei Zheng thought to himself that he had acted properly and had never done anything to harm the Tang Dynasty. Therefore, Wei Zheng suddenly became stubborn again. Wei Zhengdao said, 8th prince, I have always been loyal to the Tang Dynasty. What's wrong with you? Why do you want to report to me? Humph, what I'm going to play is you. You shameless old man, with a superficial beauty and a scumbag in his heart. Don't think no one knows about the immoral things you did before. I've written them all down. What? Humph, then I want to see. 8th prince, what do you want me to do? If you slander me today, I will definitely demand justice from the emperor. Wei Zheng's face was full of toughness, upright and unyielding. The ministers in the court also looked at Li Chengfeng and Wei Zheng with great interest. They knew that there was a conflict between the 8th prince of the Tang Dynasty and the prime minister of the Tang Dynasty, but after all, the 8th prince was only a 6-year-old child. How could he possibly defeat the prime minister Wei Zheng? Li Shimin also seemed to have anticipated this, and he spoke up, Feng heir, don't be rude. Prime Minister Wei Zheng is your senior, you can't talk nonsense and damage their reputation. Li Shimin said this actually for the sake of Li Chengfeng's kindness. In Li Shimin's view, although Wei Zheng often clashed with him, he was also the good prime minister of the Tang Dynasty. Although he sometimes made himself unable to step down, it was ultimately for the good of the Tang Dynasty. However, Li Chengfeng shook his head and then reached out a small hand, digging in his shirt pocket. "Wait a moment, father, I have already taken note of it." "You wait a moment, it will be ready soon." So, in front of everyone in the court, Li Chengfeng took out a small notebook from his shirt pocket. I saw a line of big characters written in that small notebook. The unethical deeds that Wei Zheng did in those years. Wei Zheng was immediately dumbfounded. Sleeping trough, did the 8th prince come prepared? Did he prepare such a thick notebook just to come to the court and play his own one? Immediately after, Li Chengfeng opened his notebook and said, "Father, Emperor, and his children are going to report to Wei Zheng." I don't believe him. 18 years ago, Wei Zheng borrowed a cow from the censor Wu Shan's family, but it hasn't been returned yet. This is the first one. Article 2. My son wanted to report to Wei Zheng for his unrighteous behavior. That year, he promised to make friends with him and ordered General Qin Taizhan to take care of his family after Qin Taizhan went to the battlefield. As a result, Qin Taizhan died on the battlefield, and Wei Zheng forgot all about this matter. Article 3. Speaking of this, Wei Zheng, who was originally full of confidence, couldn't help but turn pale and his lips began to tremble. Although it was a small summer day in June, Wei Zheng was sweating profusely. How could the 8th prince know all the things he had done before? No, it's impossible. That was all 18 years ago, the 8th prince was only 6 years old. How could he possibly know about those things from the past? Is it someone intentionally trying to mess with themselves? Then he told the 8th prince all the things he had done before, and asked him to speak to the emperor in front of all the civil and military officials in court. At the thought of this, Wei Zheng couldn't help but feel weak in his legs and feet. At first glance, Li Shimin's face became increasingly gloomy. Wei Zheng suddenly felt that something was not going well. Is it the emperor who gave advice to the 8th prince? That is to say, the actions of the 8th prince were actually secretly promised by the emperor. Wei Zheng was instantly frightened and knelt down, unable to breathe heavily. If it was the 8th prince who deliberately accused himself, then it's easy to say. But if this is the emperor's intention, then I will lose my head. However, Wei Zheng overthought it. In fact, this was Li Chengfeng who came to challenge Wei Zheng. Wei Zheng, don't you like to argue with people? So today, I'll show you what the first elite king of the Tang Dynasty is. Well, the 18th rule, cough, my mouth is dry. I'll take a sip of tea and continue. Please don't say anything, 8th prince. Please don't say anything. At this moment, Wei Zheng's heart had already collapsed. Those are all things that have been going on for a long time, and I can't even remember them clearly. Why did the 8th prince write them all down in a small notebook? Watching Li Chengfeng drinking water, Wei Zheng took advantage of the gap and immediately knelt down towards Li Shimin, saying, Your Majesty, I apologize. I voluntarily receive 100 large boards. Please ask the 8th prince to sell me a thin noodles. Please don't say anything. Do you know you're wrong? Li Chengfeng frowned and looked at Wei Zheng. Wei Zheng nodded and said with a very serious expression, Yes, 8th prince. I know I was wrong. What 8th prince said is absolutely right. However, although I have committed a serious crime, I have never done anything to betray the Tang Dynasty. I am loyal to the Tang Dynasty, the Emperor, and the 8th prince, and have no other ulterior motives. Therefore, I kindly ask 8th prince to forgive me. I voluntarily receive 100 cane of punishment to punish the crime I committed in the beginning. Chapter 9. Li Shimin's Misconduct in Those Years. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wei Zheng wiped the sweat from his forehead, his face pale, and his expression pitiful. Even Hou Junji beside him felt heartbroken. So Li Chengfeng looked up at Li Shimin and said, "Father, what do you think?" Li Shimin sighed. Although Wei Zheng likes to argue with him in his daily life, he is truly loyal to the Tang Dynasty and has no other ulterior motives. Since Wei Zheng voluntarily received punishment, I still have to give him this face. Li Shimin looked at Li Chengfeng and said, "Then, as Duke Xing said, give him 100 sticks of responsibility and wash away the mistakes he made before." It's the emperor, the old minister is leading the order. Upon hearing that the emperor did not order to kill him, Wei Zheng's heart was finally settled. 100 sticks of responsibility is just a matter of suffering the buttocks, is it better than landing the head? Moreover, the small notebook in Li Chengfeng's hand is so thick. If all the records are embarrassing things that Wei Zheng put down in the past, he may have to apologize to death on the spot. He just wants to quickly leave the court and stop talking to the 8th prince. Wei Zheng voluntarily received a punishment of 100 staff members, which surprised all the civil and military officials in the entire court. The old man Wei Zheng is known for his stubborn temper, recognizing rewards but not punishments. Do you not want to be punished voluntarily by Li Chengfeng today just because of a confrontation with the 8th Prince Li Chengfeng in the morning? Feng, do you have anything else to report? Li Shimin saw that the Wei expedition had come to an end, so he wanted to withdraw from the court. However, Li Chengfeng's eyes suddenly flashed with a hint of light and he said, "Report to your father, son, there is still something to report." Oh. Accurate. Li Shimin furrowed his brows, but he wanted to see what else the genius prodigy, the 8th prince, had to say. However, Li Chengfeng once again extended his small hand, digging inside his shirt pocket. I took out another small notebook. Hou Junji is speechless, is this who I want to refer to? Knowing this, the civil and military officials of the Manchu dynasty immediately became fearful. They are all very worried that they will be targeted by Li Chengfeng. As expected, Li Chengfeng opened the first page of the small notebook and said, "Father, I want to report to you that the censor Cheng'an is guilty of oppressing the people and forcibly robbing their daughters among the people." What? Your Majesty, it's unjust, unjust. In the crowd, a tall and thin man wearing an imperial robe walked out, thumped and knelt on the ground. Li Shimin frowned, puzzled. Li Chengfeng, however, had a sharp expression in his eyes and shouted, "Unfair. What do you have to be wronged for?" The wronged person is clearly the old Zhang family and his daughter in Chang'an City. Cheng'an, you are using your position as the imperial censor of the Tang Dynasty to bully and oppress the people among the people. You have insulted the dignity of the Tang royal family and should be beheaded in autumn. I. Cheng Anduan's face turned pale and his lips trembled. Li Chengfeng is right. He did indeed do such a thing, but who is it from Gaomi? Has all the members of Lao Zhang's family been killed by him? Only heaven and earth know this matter, and no one else can know it, but how did the 8th prince know about it? Cheng'an had intended to grit his teeth and not admit his guilt, but unfortunately, Li Chengfeng's words were well-founded and he confessed all the sins Cheng'an had committed before. Cheng'an's face turned pale. But above the court, there was another person whose face was even darker. And this person is Li Shimin. Li Shimin gritted his teeth tightly and shouted, "All right, what a great censor Cheng'an. Today, if it weren't for my 8th emperor's son joining you, I wouldn't have known that you had committed such heinous crimes among the people. Someone, drag them out and make a decisive decision." "Yes, your Majesty." Under the command of Li Shimin, 2 imperial guards with swords dragged the censor Cheng'an from the crowd into the court and walked towards the execution platform of the Tang Dynasty. "Please spare my life, your Majesty. I apologize for my mistake. Please give me a chance to repent." Cheng'an cried out for mercy. Li Shimin, on the other hand, had a pale face and remained silent. The Minister of Civil and Military Affairs of the Manchu dynasty knelt down on the ground, feeling grand and afraid to breathe. "Father, do you still need me to play?" "Continue playing. Today I want to take a look at all the high-ranking officials of the Tang Dynasty present, and who is corrupt and corrupt." "Yes, father." So, Li Chengfeng took out several small notebooks from his shirt pocket and began to report on the mistakes made by the court ministers before. Li Chengfeng selected high-ranking officials from the Tang Dynasty who committed crimes enough to kill their heads. Li Shimin's face turned pale and he remained silent. "Kill as you please, and punish as you please." In just one morning, Li Shimin punished 8 high-ranking officials of the Tang Dynasty and beheaded 3 courtiers. At this moment, Man Chaoan and Wu knelt on the ground, their feet trembling uncontrollably. They were afraid that Li Chengfeng would come up with a small notebook and start listing the crimes they had committed in the past. After all, no one is perfect, even a saint can still make mistakes. So in such an instant, both civil and military officials in the entire court began to fear Li Chengfeng. Because Li Chengfeng has the handle of all of them, in the future, anyone who doesn't like him will just take out a small notebook and submit it. Who dares to underestimate Li Chengfeng now? Who dares to speak wildly, saying that Li Chengfeng is just a naughty child? I'm going to take a look today. This vast expanse of high-ranking officials in the court, as well as those who are corrupt, lawless, and selfish. Li Shimin's angry beard blew up. In the past, the peaceful atmosphere in the court was originally protected by officials. Now Li Chengfeng's participation has revealed a collective disfigurement. No wonder every time they go to court, except for Wei Zheng and Fang Xuanling, these imperial officials have nothing to report. "Emperor, continue playing." "Yes, father." So, Li Chengfeng started digging and digging in his shirt pocket again. Ho Junji, Wei Qijingde, Qin Qiong, and others all had hasty expressions. "How big is the pocket of the 8th prince's shirt?" "I have taken out dozens of small notebooks, can I still take them out?" "Pada." However, at this moment, several small notebooks fell to the ground. The civil and military hearts of the entire court were raised to their throats. This time, is that unlucky ghost going to be reported by the 8th prince again? Yuqi Jingde gulped down his saliva with a gulp, and a weak sweat appeared on his forehead. He thought to himself, "Don't be yourself." But suddenly, Li Shimin on the golden chair had an ominous premonition. Because Li Shimin saw that among the small notebooks that fell under Li Chengfeng's feet, one was like this. The unethical things Li Shimin did in those years. Sleeping trough, even I have it. This villain Li Shimin's heart was instantly pounding. This little bunny wouldn't even want to play a book for his father, would he? Li Shimin's old face turned black instantly, but he looked at Li Chengfeng helplessly. Since Li Chengfeng had already put the book, The Misconduct of Li Shimin in those years, into his shirt pocket. Chapter 10. Slay 3 ministers in a row. You are listening at novelfull.audio. But Li Shimin still has lingering palpitations. Can't you tell this bare child that he just played for himself in front of all the civil and military officials? He has everything in his little notebook. If he were to say what he had done back then, Li Shimin would definitely feel ashamed. He is a good ruler, but he is definitely not a good person. There were indeed many unethical things he did in those years. Li Shimin is well aware of this. Who is good at playing? Let me see who is good at playing now. Li Chengfeng flipped through the small notebook in front of the table with 2 small hands. At this moment, Li Shimin coughed and said, "Cough cough, it's okay, Feng Air, you can pause for a while." "Okay, then let's follow what father said." Li Chengfeng yawned and said, "I happen to be tired too. Let's keep these little notebooks and play them tomorrow." "Wu Gonggang, put away all my little notebooks." "Yes, 8th prince." So, the eunuch Wu Gonggang beside Li Chengfeng took out a small bag and put all the small notebooks on the table inside. Seeing this, the civil and military officials of the entire court breathed a sigh of relief, and Li Shimin also let out a long sigh of relief. This eighth prince actually has his own leverage. Who gave these small notebooks to him? Li Shimin pondered carefully. He thought that Li Chengfeng was only 6 years old, and he could not be familiar with all the figures in the Tang Dynasty and the things he had done in those years. So, the person handing these small notebooks to Li Chengfeng is definitely an experienced official within the palace. Is it your own father Li Yuan? The more Li Shimin thought about it, the more likely he felt it was. Who else dares to give Li Chengfeng these small notebooks besides Li Yuan? Who else dares to write a book about the unethical deeds that Li Shimin did in those years? But if it were Li Yuan gone, then Li Shimin could really be said to be helpless. After retreating from the court, Li Chengfeng let out a "Hado" and jumped off the listening platform. Then, with 2 small hands in his pockets, he wobbled out of the court. As soon as Li Chengfeng left, the civil and military officials in the court breathed a heavy sigh of relief. At this moment, their gaze towards Li Chengfeng was like looking at a timed ***. Maybe one day it will explode on my head. Even if Li Shimin had already announced his withdrawal from the court, no one dared to leave the entire court except for Li Chengfeng. Li Shimin sighed and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, get up." Everyone hesitated for a moment, but still no one dared to rise up. Li Shimin frowned slightly and shouted, "You all have no sin. Why don't you dare to get up? Are you all acting guilty? Do you want me to call my 8th emperor back to give you a copy? Only then can you dare to get up." Shwa shwa shwa. With one sentence from Li Shimin, the civil and military officials of the entire court stood up in an instant, but dared not say more. Li Shimin touched his beard, squinted his eyes slightly, and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, how do you think my 8th emperor's governance is? Chen Guogong, come and talk about it." "Yes, your majesty." Ho Jun clenched his fists and said, "To report to the emperor, the 8th prince has exceptional talent and intelligence. It is not an exaggeration to call him the first prodigy of the Tang Dynasty. But the 8th prince is naturally strong-willed, unwilling to eat hard and soft, and has a particularly stubborn personality. So I'm afraid that the 8th prince's justice and perseverance may not be appropriate for his future growth path. If the 8th prince is targeted by treacherous people, he is likely to be ambushed and his life is in danger." Li Shimin touched his beard and nodded. What Ho Junji said is exactly what Li Shimin is worried about now. After all, Li Chengfeng offended many court officials today and exposed their sins. Although Li Shimin can protect him within the palace, what about when Li Chengfeng grows up and leaves the palace? Li Shimin can protect him for a while, but he can't protect him for a lifetime, can he? So Li Shimin continued to speak, "Dear ministers, I plan to send my 8th emperor's son to the Wenshuan pavilion of Duke Li for further education. What do you think?" After speaking, the ministers in the court suddenly lit up their eyes. "Say hello one by one, this is a very good note." Ho Junji continued to clench his fists and said, "Your attention is indeed very good, your majesty. The 8th prince is talented, but not very knowledgeable. If he could go to the Wenshuan pavilion of Duke Du Ruhui of Li for further studies, he must have a bright future, immeasurable." Yeah, what Duke Chen said makes sense. With Duke Li's knowledge, he can definitely teach the 8th prince well and teach him the 4 books and 5 classics. They all want Li Chengfeng to study in Du Ruhui's Wenshuan pavilion. After all, in this way, Li Chengfeng cannot expose their shortcomings in the court in the future. Li Shimin agreed with the ideas of Ho Junji and others. He nodded slightly and said, "Not bad, then according to the words of the ministers, I will send my 8th emperor to attend classes in the Wenshuan pavilion of Duke Li tomorrow." "Yes, your majesty is wise." The imperial palace of the Tang Dynasty, on the execution platform. Coming again. Cutting another one. Oh my god, what big thing happened in the court. Click. A butcher wielded a broadsword, wielding it from start to finish, and directly beheaded a minister who was pleading for mercy. Isn't that the censor Qing? And surprisingly, he has a relative relationship with Duke Qing Yaojin of Lu. Why did the emperor even kill him? I don't know. Was it not Emperor Longyan who was furious and ordered the execution of a large group of corrupt and lawless court officials? But this is too terrifying, isn't it? 3 were executed in the morning. 9 court officials were punished. I just saw that Prime Minister Wei Zheng was beaten 100 times in the butt, and he kept saying, "Well done, I'm a criminal, I should be beaten." What? Even Wei Zheng, the Prime Minister, is willing to be beaten 100 times. On the edge of the execution platform, a group of officials in the court stopped to watch. In fact, a spirited old man with his hands on his back and his eyes slightly narrowed. This person is Li Yuan, the father of Emperor Tang and Li Shimin. Li Yuan also felt very strange. According to Li Shimin's personality, he couldn't have caught so many court officials and punished them all at once, and he even beheaded 3 in a morning. Is there something big happening in the court? Li Yuan frowned tightly. As the supreme emperor, Li Yuan did not ask about national affairs. If the Tang Dynasty really encountered any difficulties, Li Yuan would not stand idly by. At this moment, Ho Junji hurriedly walked towards the edge of the execution platform. He covered his eyes and sighed repeatedly. Oh my goodness, what evil have they done? How could the emperor have beheaded 3 high-ranking officials in the morning? Ho Junji's face was filled with fear, truly filled with fear. At this moment, Li Yuan waved his hand and blocked Ho Junji's way, saying, "Duke Chen, may I ask what exactly happened in the court? Why did the emperor execute 3 ministers in a day?"